Let's bring you the latest updates from Sudan, where defiant protesters have remained on the streets after the country's armed forces launched a military coup. Chanting and waving flags, they have blocked roads in the capital, Khartoum, and around the country following the takeover. On Monday, coup leader General Abdel Fattah Burhan dissolved civilian rule, arrested political leaders, and called a state of emergency. Soldiers opened fire on crowds and reportedly killed 10 people. The coup has drawn global condemnation. Diplomats told AFP news agency the UN Security Council is due to meet on Tuesday to discuss the crisis. General Abdel Fattah Burhan sought to justify the takeover by blaming political infighting. Troops are reported to have been going house to house in Khartoum, arresting local protest organizers. The city's airport is closed and international flights are suspended. The internet and most phone lines are also down, and central bank staff have reportedly gone on strike, and across the country, doctors are said to be refusing to work in military-run hospitals except in emergencies. And global affairs analyst Kunle Falowo joins me on the news from Indiana via Skype to discuss this. Good to have you join us, Kunle.
Thanks for having me.
So Sudan is a country that is largely dependent on international donors, and most of those donors have condemned this coup. One wonders what General Burhan was thinking before he took this action, knowing that he would not have financial support in the days to come. What sort of message do you think he was trying to send?
Well, it's all about power and the acquisition of power for especially military personnel and top figures in the military cadre in the Sudanese government. It's essential for them to take hold of power. There's an empty space to be occupied in Sudan as far as we know. Don't forget that in between 2018 and 19, when Omar al-Bashir was ousted because of some economic factors, there have been more like a vacuum. And then there was a protest, sometime in 2019, that the people came out in their hundreds and thousands and wanted the military people to overtake the government of al-Bashir, which has been in power for over 3 decades, because they had instituted some austerity measures. The prices, cost of living went astronomically high, and the people couldn't afford 3 square meals. The prices of food, bread for common man, became almost impossible to reach, and then they were looking for a solution to the problem, and they felt the military would, when they intervene, it would be better for them, for the stakes of all. But there are pro-democracy and the anti-democracy protesters all over the place. But at the end of the day, there will be a transition of power because of international pressure from Norway, from Russia, from the United States and the United Kingdom, and of course, like you already mentioned, the foreign aid coming into Sudan will be affected if there isn't a transition of power to civilian rule.
And the Arab League, surprisingly, has also called for, they have called for a return to the constitutional agreement of 2019. What are your concerns within that region, especially with what's going on in Sudan?
Well, let's start with the African Union. Between 2018 and 19, when the unrest started to escalate in that region, they suspended Sudan, and then they're not a member of the African Union anymore. But standard practice entails that the African Union come out to condemn what's happening in Sudan. It's a military overthrow, which is not ideal in a democratic setting. Having said that, one begins to wonder if there is any other way to facilitate the smooth transition of power from the military to the civilians, with the aid of the African Union and European Union, which happens to be meeting sometime later today. It's still quite unclear. And also, don't forget that Sudan is a very important member or important ally of the West because they're very closely related to they're nearing the North African region in the North Africa and the Sahel. They're very close in that region, and then the Western countries will always want to advocate democratic rules, and hence, as that direct effect, there have to be some form of cooperation and collaboration between Sudan and the Western countries. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen, but international pressure continues to mount against the military overthrow in Sudan, and it's an unfolding story, and we will continue to watch out for it.
Amid lack of foreign financial support from international donors and foreign countries, and dire security situation, as well as a transition that is now in doubt, what do you think that the road ahead? What does the road ahead look like for Sudan?
Interesting questions. It's going to be very tricky. It's going to be very serious as far as the people and the citizenry, the entire people of Sudan and that region is concerned. We hope for the best for them, but economic crisis remains one of the major fundamental problems that the country is having, and that is one of the reasons why some people in Sudan are advocating for the military to come into power and help them salvage the economic crisis in their country. Again, the military top figures are promising that there will be an election in 2023, sometime between June, July, thereabout, but we're not sure. And there's no certainty that that will be happening. But again, we will continue to watch out for that. There's still ongoing negotiations outside of the cameras. The mindset that they need collaborations from the international community when it comes to mining. They have gold, they have silver, they have mining capacities in that country, but they seem not to be able to do it all alone by themselves. So they will have to listen and negotiate among themselves.
Global Affairs analyst Kunle Falowo, thanks for talking to us.
As always.